ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. It is the Monday show. The Monday show that we do just before Monday Night Raw to get us into the mood. We call it the Slate. It's the Monday Night Slate where we preview WWE Raw. It's just that simple. That's what we do. So that's what we're going to be doing. And tonight, how you doing? It's a brand new week of wrestling that's starting up for us. I hope you're excited. I hope I am. I hope I'm excited. So imagine how excited I am regarding you guys then. Like, I hope you're excited for some new wrestling. It's good. Always a good week to start up with, to start some wrestling. But look, hey, live, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. This is where you're at. This is the cool thing. This is where the magic happens. And you know what else? Where there's somewhere else where magic happens. The Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. And you should be able to join the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord because you are a technologically capable individual who enjoys chatting about professional wrestling in a sane environment. Now that bears being mentioned, right? A sane environment where people aren't at each other's throats, tearing each other down because of affiliations or opinions. Not that we always agree, but it's a good place. It's a good place to hang out. So, you know, if you're fed up of all the ridiculous discourse over on Twitter, you come on over there. And there's live watching. Everyone congregates and watches the live shows live together as well in the Discord. So go check it out. It's a fun time. It's a fun time to come around and do that. And if you're not already a part of it, I don't know what you're waiting for. I really don't. But hey, in the meantime, we do have some people who joined me live here tonight to talk about talk about wrestling, talk about WWE Raw specifically, like Caleb, who's here. Good to see you, Caleb, and Metal Michael as well. Hello. Imran, good to see you as well. Justin Firestein, Jake Daily Accolade is here as well. Our boy Evan Wright, and our other boy Tom Gories as well. Look at that, it's Spencer Love from Love Wrestling, and he just goes. And you think, here's the thing, is Spencer comes into the chat and he does the little wave emoji, right? Which is a pretty, it's a common emoji, right? It's a very friendly one. But when I think about Spencer doing a wave emoji, you know, there's something like, he's like this, like, hi friend, you know, because it's the most Spencer Love thing. You know, he just doesn't wave, you know, he just doesn't go, hey, how you doing? He goes, hi. It's good to see you, Spencer. And we've got Scott Frame here as well. Look at that. Look at all these wonderful people joining us live. Let's get into it. Because there's so much to talk about. They got a big, well, okay, look, we could talk about before getting into the show. I'm sure you all heard the news. WrestleMania's 30, what is it going to be? 37, 38, 39 ultimately have all been recalibrated, moved around, announced. WrestleMania 37 this year is going to take place 2 nights again. April 10 and April 11 going to take place in Tampa Bay at the Raymond James Stadium. If anyone can give me a cue as to where or who plays at the Raymond James Stadium, that'd be great, because I don't know my stadiums. I really like outside of the Olympic Stadium, the Rogers Center, Madison Square Garden, and the Boston Gardens. Outside of that, it just all becomes a big mishmash for me. Oh, and Tropicana Field. That's where the Bucks play. It's a stadium, like they're actually okay, because I know they do want fans there. So that was the stadium they were planning to do it last year. I don't know how they're expecting. Anyway, look, it's gonna be a weird one if you ask me. DGMC and William Davis, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. WrestleMania then next year is going to be at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And then finally WrestleMania Hollywood at the Sophie Stadium in Los Angeles is going to be in 2023 in April. My main takeaway out of all this, because honestly, WrestleManias are WrestleManias to me, or WrestleMania week or the days around it. I think it's as long as there are no independent shows using WrestleMania week to promote themselves. Outside of that, it's just a big show. It's a big wrestling show. Good for WWE, but I'm all for WrestleMania creating a mecca of wrestling events, sort of a place where all sorts of wrestlers can get noticed by the Big E if they want. A lot of wrestlers who can book a bunch of shows in a very, very short time. That's what I appreciate most of out of WrestleMania from the past few years. So if this year they're just, and the next few years they're just doing the shows and there's nothing congregating around it, nothing like no events bubbling up around it, well, I'm just going to shrug it off and be like, oh, okay, well, it's the biggest wrestling show of the year, arguably, of course, but it's a big wrestling show, and I'm happy for them and good for them. I know it's the equivalent of the Super Bowl. I get all that stuff, but to me it becomes much more important when there's the entirety of wrestling culture that congregates around it. I think that's what makes it special ultimately. That being said, my main takeaway, which was my original setup before going skewing off on another rant here. 2 nights again this year, but not 2 nights next year, and not 2 nights the year after. So to me, I'm feeling like the logic that they're establishing here is that empty arena, we split it into 2 nights. Full arena, just 1 night. And I'm not sure. Personally, I'm not convinced that's still the way to go. I'm really excited at the idea of having 2 nights, having the massive wrestling show called WrestleMania over 2 nights, much easier to digest, much more fun to watch. I really liked watching WrestleMania 36 last year because we weren't plunking down for 7 to 8 hours of continuous wrestling. So, I'm still excited to see this. There's still time for stuff to change right into 2022 and 2023. Hopefully we'll be done with the worst of COVID anyway, and everything will be much safer. But I, for one, am glad that WrestleMania this year is on 2 nights. Throwback left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Throwback. He says, I challenge MrWarrenHayes to play Uno against Anakin and I. I want a response tomorrow. Much respect. Get with the what? with coming in here with the ultimatums. We'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about that. Want to say hello to Cody Fosterling on top of that. Welcome to the chat. So that was some big news that popped up, WWE related, which is cool. Some other stuff that we learned, I think we learned today. Bianca Belair is getting a Chronicle this week, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday. That's really cool. I think Bianca is one of these wrestlers who will easily, transcend and break that barrier to create a very, very close relationship with the audience. So yeah, I think it's really good. I like it. I think it's a really good idea. I'm actually excited to look to see it. I think it's going to be one of the good ones. That's super cool. And Peyton Royce has declared herself in the Royal Rumble, and so has Jeff Hardy. Now, wasn't Drew Gulak? Why did Drew Gulak last week? Why did he have to compete to get a spot? in the Royal Rumble? At what point in your career does the declaration work, or you have to work for your spot in the Rumble? Like, what's the cutoff? What's the line between the two, right? It seems to me, because Drew Gulak he competed last week. He was like, I'm going to declare, and he was like, no, you have to fight for it. I'm like, why does he have to fight for it? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Tonight, hey, WWE back to its old tricks, not giving us much, just giving us a few breadcrumbs. Let's get right into it. The two elements are linked to each other. First of all, this is what they're announcing, of course, as per read on WWE.com. Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss prepare for Fireball Fallout. Here's how it goes. The heat is on Randy Orton after Alexa Bliss surprised the Viper with a fireball last week on Raw. Orton lit the first match, engulfing The Fiend in flames at WWE TLC, but Bliss is intent on bringing the Legend Killer back into the fire. What will be in store as the fire back and fire back? Okay, so we've established the fact tonight. That Randy Orton is going to try and get even with Alexa Bliss. Now, Alexa Bliss is set to face Osaka for in a non-title match. For the you can't have a non-title match for a title. That's the very definition of what non-title is. So Osaka and Alexa are going to be in a match tonight. So here's the copy that goes here. Alexa Bliss has been wrapped up in the demented world of The Fiend for a long time, but will turn her attention back to the ring against Osaka in the non-title match. Bliss hasn't competed in the squared circle since a win over her former teammate Nikki Cross on November 23rd, 2020. Will Bliss be focused on Saturday Night Raw, blah, 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 blah. So we're barely even mentioning Osaka here in this promo here in this copy, which leads me to believe that the whole thing will be very much focused on Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton. And if you ask me, I'm pretty sure Randy Orton is going to come in and is going to interfere in this match some way to cause Alexa to lose. Now they've thrown fireballs at this point. So if I'm Randy Orton and I'm coming into I wanna up the stakes. You know, I don't come in like with a Zippo lighter and some lighter fuel. I don't come in with another fireball on my own. I come in with a blowtorch. Am I right? I come in like we know Orton has access to military surplus from that time that he attacked the Legends with the night vision goggles, right? And he was all decked out, and so we know he's I think he's like a part-time militia guy, or at least he knows people. So this week he calls him up and he says, "Hey pal, do you think you could hook me up with a blowtorch?" And he goes, "We were going to use it to storm the Capitol building, but okay." That's a political joke. I apologize, but still, I thought it was funny. So I think that he comes in, runs in with a blowtorch, a flamethrower, and then I think that's what we do. I think that's what he should do. You gotta escalate it, bring it to the next level. But I think that's wishful thinking on my part. We'll see. Evan Wright says, they never open with a hot match. Not unless there's actual flames involved. The Lucha House Party and Matt Riddle are going to be fighting the Hurt Business in a 6-man tag team match. Let's read the little description. So, yeah, you're on Justin Firestein on top of that. You're on fire tonight, Warren. God, we're having a good time tonight. Last week, following a defeat at the hand of the Almighty, in quotation marks, because they can't just outright use his name. They have to lay down all the nicknames, of course. You know how these copies work by now. Following the defeat at the hand of the almighty United States champion Bobby Lashley, Riddle shocked the Hurt Business with an impromptu challenge to take on MVP. Riddle did not fare any better the second time around, and this one-on-one showdown resulted in a second beatdown at the hands of MVP and Lashley. Tonight, the original Bro teams with the high-flying luchadors Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado in hopes to knock the Hurt Business off their high horse by handing them a huge loss in 6-man tag team action. So here we go. God bless you. I just said, God bless Michael Burdick, who is the author of this. Bless his heart for having to write this. Following the social norms, the social media norms that WWE had. God bless him. God bless him. MC Carvalho, welcome to the chat. So, I mentioned this on Thursday when I was talking about how great I think Bobby Lashley's push has been over the past few months, and I think people don't give it enough recognition. That's the word I'm looking for, or feeling because of all the tripe that like it's lost within the swamp of WWE terrible creative, right? So essentially what we have here is I lost my train of thought. So when I was talking about Lashley, I also mentioned how hard it has to be to be a Matt Riddle fan these days, because he's coming across as a schmuck. He's super obnoxious. I think his backstage stuff is cringy above anything else. It's just forced. And he loses twice in an evening. Like, he looks like a complete and utter jabron to Bobby Lashley, and then can't even beat MVP properly. So here's the thing. It's like, why do we get invested in wrestlers? Why do we care about them? And WWE always has this impression where you can switch on and off a push and people will buy into it. Now, maybe now at this period in history where Kevin Dunn has his finger, or Bruce Pritchard has his finger on the heat button, so they can get the reactions that they want. So if they want Riddle to get a huge crowd pop, they'll just press the button labeled huge crowd pop and then press that one. And they probably have another huge crowd pop label called huge crowd pop Drew, which is exclusively for Drew McIntyre, so he can get a bigger one because he's the champion, right? So this is how I feel they're handling Riddle right now. It's like, why would we care? Why do we care about Matt Riddle? Last week he was a chump, and now he's in this featured match. He's going back up against the Hurt Business. And I understand that they've had this underlying story moving forward. And to be perfectly frank, I am much more excited at the simple prospect of Metalik and Dorado versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Put those four guys in a tag team match, and I'm like, bravo, let's do it. And I'd be super looking forward to it. My guess, Matt Riddle gets the pin on someone, probably not Bobby Lashley, because they've been booking him so solidly. They've been overprotecting him. But then what does that say? Is that, well, Riddle is no good as a singles competitor, you know? It's such strange booking. It's so odd. Like, I can get behind the idea last week of Lashley just destroying a chump, even if it is Matt Riddle, because at some point, and I say this enough, you have to have stars beat other stars if you want to make stars. You can't 50-50 everyone. You can't protect everyone all the time. So at some point, certain people are going to have to systematically beat other people, and that's just how it is. So I don't have a problem with Matt Riddle losing to Bobby Lashley if Bobby Lashley's in the midst of a push and they're making him look like a powerhouse, like he's something special. This is the kind of shit you have to do. It's just afterwards when it comes to Riddle. Then he challenges MVP and he can't pull off the win either. Oh, but it's the numbers game. Isn't Matt Riddle friends with Jeff Hardy? Why didn't Jeff Hardy run out to help him? You know? I just don't get it. And where were all these people who celebrated Matt Riddle on he was on SmackDown when he got that big win. Yeah, I forgot about that. And then they all like hoisted him up in the air. Maybe he doesn't have any friends on Raw. That could be the thing. That could definitely be the thing. Look, in a vacuum, in a bubble, give me Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado versus Shelton and Cedric, and I'm thrilled. I'm super, super happy. Oh, look at this. Kristen Ashley has joined us. First Lady of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. MC Carvalho says Goldberg on the dirt sheet tonight and Peyton versus Charlotte. Are you sure? Is this coming off the newsletter? I'm not doubting you. I just want to I'll refresh the Twitter page here. Yeah, I don't have it. Okay. I guess it's probably on their thing, right? It's the oh, you're the WWE insider. It's their email. So what you're telling me, MC, is that we're getting Goldberg on television tonight. Oh, brother. Well, here's the amusing thing. Here's what we can do, right? We can all sit around and yeah, that's right. Hey, that's a really good point you put there, though, MC. Goldberg is such a draw for the company, right? He's such a big-ass draw. A guy that you bring in, break glass in case of ratings flop, bring in Goldberg. He's such a draw that we're going to put the fact that he's on the show on the mailing list, but not out into the world. We're not going to put it on the preview, on the official preview on WWE.com, and we're not going to put it on Twitter either. That's how fucking big a draw he is. Oh. And Peyton versus Charlotte. I guess this is going to tie into Lacey, and I'm willing to bet 10 Canadian fun bucks. 10 Canadian rubber bucks. Hello, by the way, Injection 2K and Mr. Fantastic. I'm willing to bet 5 Canadian rubber bucks that, did I say 5 or 10? Let's double it. 10. That we are going to get some sort of date vignette with Ric Flair and Lacey Evans that will somehow distract Charlotte during her match. That they're going to be at a restaurant and well, hopefully not a fucking restaurant because COVID, or a hotel in the and they're gonna do the angle, they're gonna do the thing where Charlotte and not Charlotte, but where Lacey and Rick are gonna tease that they're getting it on. 10 Canadian rubber bucks. It's there. I'm willing to bet. Because they're gonna do the Al Wilson Don Marie shit all over again. I'm going in there. This is exactly what they're doing. And it compelling TV, folks. Man, sometimes I really wish. Look, I've said it once and I'll say it again. If WWE just focused on giving us matches, focused on the wrestling, they'd probably be unstoppable. Because the talent, they have too deep of a talent pool. They really do. And I will continue to hammer this argument home. The past, I think last year in WWE, there were more good to great pay-per-views than the opposite. And in all their vacuums, regardless of the build and so on and so forth, looking at the pay-per-views in and about themselves, there's no reason for you to watch week after week. You legitimately could make an argument to say, I'm gonna subscribe to the network and watch the pay-per-views because it's good wrestling. And look, easily since SummerSlam 2020, you can make a case that there hasn't been a bad pay-per-view. You definitely could. Maybe some not so great matches, sure, of course, but in vacuums, their pay-per-views are entertaining. You have a good time, and I don't see. I swear, if they focused on that, if they really did focus on that and did give us wrestling shows week after week, not like having bell to bell time represent like 25% of the show, but like actually fill it up with wrestling. Start with the wrestling match, end with the wrestling match, and then we'd be having a whole other set of conversation in regard to WWE. I'm convinced, 100% convinced. But you have to shift through so many layers of garbage before getting to the chewy nugget center. That being said, you should never go through garbage to get to a chewy nugget center of anything. If a chewy nugget center is found in the middle of garbage, you just leave it there. Don't go for it regardless, folks, okay? It wasn't a good analogy. So that's what we're going to be looking forward tonight on WWE. Hey, folks, Kristen's here. She did a fantastic stats piece. I was going to say statistical, but I decided to shorten it and say stats. But now I'm talking you through my thought process, and it's just turning out to be a lot longer than it should be. She did a fantastic stats piece over on belltobells.com over an argument that popped up over the last couple of days on some Twitter accounts, some website. Is Charlotte the greatest women's performer WWE has ever had? And she decided to pull out some stats and pulling them from all sorts of different sources, not just match results, not just title reigns, public appearances, TV shows, so on and so forth. Is there truly a GOAT women's wrestler in WWE? The result may surprise you, but you should go check it out. Belltobells.com, BELLTOBELLES, or follow on Twitter at BellTobells. Go check it out. But hey, come and hang out in the Discord for Raw tonight, folks. It'll be a good time. I will be back Wednesday for another slate. See you next time.